A thread by Carlos Osuita. Let's talk about how utterly moronic it is for Susan Rice to blame Donald Trump for the pandemic deaths. First of all, think about how many deaths Susan Rice is responsible for all over the world due to Obama's cargo cult foreign policy. From Breitbart's Susan Rice, 150,000 dead Americans is on Trump's gross mishandling of this pandemic. Ugh. Second, look, the pandemic death rate, this blue line right here, has stayed the same as cases increased dramatically. Trump successfully mitigated an inevitable catastrophe. Third, it's not possible for the federal government to do the job of the states. Susan Rice's failed ideology calls for a centralized approach to everything. Think about how stupid that is. How are the feds supposed to know what's happening in individual towns and cities? And finally, the governors are the ones who decide when to open and close. The reopening is based on recommendations by St. Fauci and the blessed CDC. Believe the science. Well, how is that possible when the recommendations keep changing? The people responsible for the deaths are the Chinese. Susan Rice spent much of her life appeasing them. The fact that she blames Trump for what China did shows that she's a de facto agent of the Chinese Communist Party. What a shocker. Democrats have long admired the Chinese Communist Party. They have a lot in common. Incompetence and brutality are at the top of the list. Here in California, the Employment Development Department, EDD, simply will not send out unemployment benefits. They don't answer phones or return emails, so finally the California Assembly arranged for an audit. Following orders from Governor Gavin Newsom, the senators refused to show up, so the audit can't happen. Instead, Newsom announced a fake strike team. From Mercury News, coronavirus unemployment. Governor plans EDD reforms, but relief is months away. The same people who caused the problems will now investigate themselves. This is the oldest Democratic trick in the book. Jerry Brown used it to prevent audits of the High-Speed Rail Authority and the Department of Motor Vehicles. Reforms never happen. The money is being skimmed off by Susan Rice's buddies. This is the reason federal Democrats demanded that federal economic relief funds go through the states and not directly to the people. So Democrats can steal it. A rule of thumb: the more pious the Democrat, the more corrupt. Ask a Democrat to give you reasons why their party says Trump is the most corrupt president in our history. My communist brother made the accusation. Give me 5 examples, I said. Silence. The Democrats ordered Attorney General William Barr to sit in a chair while they hurled invective at him. What was so funny is how transparent it all was. They're screeching about federal tactics in Portland and Seattle. You know who's there? U.S. Coast Guard Maritime Safety and Security Teams, MSSTs. These are Tier 1 military special operations forces. Do you have any idea of the damage they could do if they wanted? My guess is that Susan Rice doesn't even know they exist. Like Obama, she was a pretend government official. People go to my timeline and say that the world is laughing at us. No, actually, they're not. They're begging us to not abandon them and to not hurt them. When Obama went to the Copenhagen Climate Conference on December 18th, 2009, he had no impact. The Chinese sent literally a clerk. When Obama went to a conference room, there weren't enough seats, so they brought out a plastic milk crate for him to sit on. Obama breezed in, made a speech, expecting the world to fall over in rapture at his stunningness. Instead, the trip was a flop, one of his greatest humiliations, one of many. From The Guardian, Barack Obama's speech disappoints and fuels frustration. Here he is, sitting on his milk crate, which was turned on its side. Let's see if we can find this photo for you. Here's where are you, buddy? Obama, where are you at? I don't know. Well, anyway, link in the description. He expected everyone in the room to swoon, and instead they just ignored him. Nobody ignores Trump, Susan. Also, the leftist criticism of Trump is deranged. He's a fascist who doesn't exercise authority. That's a new one. Just a word salad. Gibberish. During the 8 years of Obama's presidency, I listened to exactly one of his speeches, the night he announced the killing of Osama bin Laden. Other than that, none. He was impossible for me to tolerate. I'd never experienced such phoniness. I watch all of Trump's appearances on the White House YouTube channel. It's his unpredictability, his ad libs. He goes off on brief tangents that are always funny or interesting. And those ad libs are when he makes his most important announcements. No, the world isn't laughing at us. The world is waiting with bated breath to see what will happen next. Obama was an actor. Trump is a president. And Trump has solved in 4 years what 5 successive presidents couldn't in 40. During a pandemic, a catastrophic economic crisis, and an insurrection led by the opposing political party. Obama was 1/100th the president Trump is. That's 0.01. Susan Rice hitched her wagon to this Pakistani car. Nobody forced her to make such a dumbass choice, but she's broadcasting Trump's message loud and clear. Elect Biden. He promises to be even worse than Obama.